Hi everyone, my name is Kartik and my channel is about mental models. In my 18th video of this cognitive bias mini-series, I will be talking about the clustering illusion. Clustering illusion is an instance where we see a pattern in something random or unorganized. When there is actually no pattern. Now, this can be completely insignificant, this pattern that you've seen, such as seeing a face in a random arrangement of blocks in a stone wall. But when we identify patterns and start to emphasize or overestimate the importance of the pattern, then this is where this cognitive bias can skew our decision making. Let's look at a couple of examples. I have drawn a circle, and within this I am randomly going to add 20 points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. And this is just random. But looking at this video, you may see a pattern or a cluster of points and spaces emerge. So there'll be a pattern of points and a pattern of spaces that you might see emerge. And that is an example of clustering illusion. Another example, a more serious example, is, let's say, from the world of financial markets. Traders may perceive a trend in a share price or a market movement in a sector and subsequently make an investment decision based on this pattern. For example, if a price has risen steadily for a few days, then they may overemphasize the importance of this trend and believe that the price will continue to rise. However, the stock market is inherently unpredictable, and the general randomness of the market may be misinterpreted as a pattern, which could lead to negative consequences. There is also the notion that patterns identified from previous events can influence the probability of future outcomes. So, previous events affect probabilities of future outcomes, which can also have disastrous consequences, as it can lead to poor decision making. Past and future events are independent of one another, and future probabilities are not influenced by the events of the past, as there is no relationship between the two. This can also be known as the gambler's fallacy, which is a separate cognitive bias, but in my opinion the two, clustering illusion and gambler's fallacy, are related. So why does this bias happen? Number one, pattern recognition. As humans, we have a tendency to seek out patterns. This helps us to be more efficient with our brain processing power and to reach decisions more quickly. And so that is why clustering illusion can take place. Number two, illusory correlation. Similar to the cognitive bias of stereotyping, or similar to that case, it is applicable here too, in that we tend to see relationships between two or more variables even when no such connection exists. And so it's sort of similar to point number one, pattern recognition, but we can sort of form connections where they don't exist, and again that gives rise to clustering illusion. Number three, under-predicting. Under-predicting both discrepancies and or the amount of variability in data, and that can lead to clustering illusion. Number four, I'm going to call this randomness. All of the points above, 1, 2, 3, you may see a pattern in that people look for similarities and ignore differences. And this may be because either they do not understand or do not account for randomness in things. And so this is another reason, because they do not account for randomness, this is another reason why clustering illusion can happen. So those are the whys. How do we overcome this bias? Number one, surprise, surprise again, awareness. Similar to quite a few other biases, people tend not to realize that there is such a bias, clustering illusion. And so understanding what it is, why it happens, when and where it can influence people is an initial step. Number two, critical thinking. By this I mean be skeptical when analysing or interpreting data and information. Question whether there is a logical explanation for a perceived pattern, and be open to alternative explanations. Number three, I'm going to call this research. So when you think you have a pattern, do some research to see if it can be supported or if the pattern is rejected. It goes without saying to look for reliable, independent sources of information to back or to try and back up your pattern. Number four, sort of correlating with number four in the whys, understand. Randomness. So build your awareness, similar to point number one, build your awareness of randomness and recognize that this can produce clusters or patterns in data, which can manifest in various contexts. Number five, confirmation bias. When doing research, so point number three, when doing research, you may seek evidence that confirms your existing belief in the pattern. And by doing so, you'll be exhibiting confirmation bias. So you need to be mindful of confirmation bias being at play, and seek out information or look for information when you're doing your research which will disconfirm your view. Number 6. Insight from others. Speak to other people about the patterns you are seeing and get their input, get their view, get their perspective. You may get a different perspective and further insight on your pattern, which will help you avoid this bias, avoid falling into the trap of clustering illusion. By overcoming this bias, we can get to a more accurate interpretation of data and events, which can in turn minimize negative impacts on the decisions you make, as well as the decision-making process itself. And so these are the techniques. I'm sure there are others to overcome clustering illusion, but these are the ones I wanted to focus on. And that's clustering illusion in a nutshell, and that's all for this video. If you like this video, please like, share and subscribe to my channel. And why not, since you're here, check out this video on confirmation bias, which is a way to overcome this bias. And I will see you again in the next video. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.